Welcome to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. On this show, we use the Triggator philosophy to help you keep your budget balanced, build your savings and investments, and knock out debt with confidence. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I've been excited about this episode all week. In fact, this might be my favorite topic of the week. Because today we're talking about getting paid anytime you want. On-demand pay, early wage access, or as I like to call it, DoorDash for dollars. And this isn't just a theory for me, this is something I've lived. Over the years, I've worked just about every kind of job and every kind of pay schedule. I've worked the standard pay period jobs where it's weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly. I've also worked as a server where my nightly pay was whatever tips I took home. And if you didn't know, servers basically never see a paycheck. That $2.13 an hour all goes to taxes. I've spent time in the gig economy where I did DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, and Amazon Flex, where I had the option to cash out anytime, or I could even get a weekly pay. I also worked as a mobile DJ, and that pay, completely sporadic. No schedule, just whenever the bookings came in. Through all of that, I learned some great lessons. Different pay structures taught me flexibility, discipline, and the importance of adapting. But no matter how I got paid or when, some truths stayed consistent, and those truths became part of the Triggator philosophy I teach today. Here's the real question. So today, we're not just asking, should I get paid anytime I want? We're asking, if you can get paid anytime, how do you stay in control, or should you even choose that option at all? Because flexibility without a plan feels like freedom, but it's really financial fragility. And while early pay can solve some short-term problems, it can create long-term friction if you don't have a spending plan ready to catch that money before it slips away. What we'll cover today? In this episode, the real pros of early pay. There are a few. The hidden downsides most people overlook, and how to give every paycheck a mission no matter where it lands. Because the paycheck revolution isn't really about when you get paid, it's about how well you use what you get. Let's dive in. The pros of on-demand pay. Let's start with the good. Because there are benefits to on-demand pay, and I've lived them. When I was driving DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, and Amazon Flex, I had the option to cash out anytime, and within 10 minutes or less, the money was in my account. This gave me flexibility I wouldn't have had otherwise. And for millions of workers, that flexibility can make a real difference. Here are some of the biggest pros. Flexibility for emergencies. When life throws you a curveball, a car repair, a medical bill, an unexpected expense, having access to your earnings before payday can be a lifesaver. For some people, this can be the difference between paying cash and falling further into debt. Reduced reliance on predatory lending. In industries where workers used to turn to payday loans or high-interest credit cards to bridge the gap between pay cycles, early wage access can offer a better, less costly alternative. Now, is this ideal? No. But is it better than a payday loan at 400% APR? Absolutely. Paycheck smoothing for gig and variable income workers. When you work variable hours or unpredictable shifts, cashing out more frequently can help soothe income across the month. For gig workers, this can relieve some of the stress that comes with irregular pay schedules. Psychological relief. Let's be honest, sometimes just knowing the money is there can reduce anxiety. Even if you don't cash out every day, having the option can make people feel less trapped by traditional pay cycles. But here's the key. These are short-term wins. Early access to pay helps solve immediate problems, but it's not a long-term financial strategy because getting paid early doesn't fix the underlying issue. Why do you need money before payday in the first place? If it's for a genuine emergency once in a while, that's one thing. But if early pay becomes a habit, that's not flexibility anymore. That's a warning sign. More on that in the next section. As they say in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Accessing your pay anytime gives you power, But without a spending plan to handle that power, it's easy to lose control. Coming up next, the hidden downsides of on-demand pay and why the cons quietly outweigh the pros for most people. The hidden dangers, the chaos of DoorDash for dollars. So yes, early pay can help in the short term, but here's the part that those apps and flashy ads don't talk about. Short-term flexibility often leads to long-term friction. And when you cash out early without a solid plan, the risks start stacking up fast. Danger 1, loss of rhythm. A key to any good spending plan is predictability. When you always get paid on a certain day, your budget rhythm stays strong. But when you can grab your paycheck whenever you want, that rhythm disappears. One week you cash out on Monday, the next week it's Friday, 2 weeks later it's whenever the rent is due, and you realize that you need cash now. Without rhythm, your spending plan becomes chaos. Danger number 2, impulse temptation. Here's the psychology nobody talks about. Money that's available feels like money that's ready to spend. If you can grab $200 right now, your brain doesn't say, let's wait and add this to our budget. It says, sweet, that concert, those shoes, and that fancy sushi is finally in reach. And when you tell yourself, it's fine, I'll catch up next week, you believe it. As George Costanza once said, it's not a lie if you believe it. That's how early pay tempts us into treating every spending decision as a harmless one. But small justifications add up fast. A study by Wendy De La Rosa and Stephanie M. Tolley, published in the Journal of Consumer Research, provides casual evidence that higher payment frequencies increase spending. The research suggests that more frequent access to earnings can lead to higher subjective wealth perception, promoting consumers to spend more because they think they have more to spend. This aligns with the idea that on-demand pay can lead to impulsive financial decisions, disrupting budgets and long-term financial plans. The convenience of early wage access might encourage a spending pattern that doesn't align with the actual earning cycle, potentially creating a cycle of dependence. Or in other words, because it's coming in more often, you think there's more of it, so you spend more. Danger 3, hidden fees. Many on-demand pay services come with transaction fees. $2.99 per transfer here, $4.99 there. It adds up. If you cash out 3 or 4 times a week, you could lose $50 to $100 a month just for accessing your own money. That's not flexibility, that's leakage. Danger 4, lifestyle creep risk. Here's a silent killer. When pay comes early and spending follows, it becomes harder to see your big picture. You lose track of monthly patterns. Small splurges multiply. Your expenses quietly rise, and before long, your paycheck has lost its mission. Danger number 5, savings sabotage. Here's one that almost no one talks about. When you cash out daily or early, your plan for that money usually only exists in your head, and it almost always centers around immediate needs or wants. To be honest, when I cashed out at the end of my driving shift, I can't remember ever thinking, now, $23 needs to go to my alligator fund and $15 towards my retirement. Quite the opposite. It was actually, look, now I can pay my electric bill and I still have enough left over for some orange chicken at Panda Express. Short-term thinking feels urgent, long-term saving feels optional. But that's how financial drift quietly becomes financial defeat. The big picture, the more often you cash out early, the more your money loses purpose and predictability. It feels like financial freedom, but it's not. It's financial drift. And drift is how even high earners end up living paycheck to paycheck. Coming up next, how to fight back and the spending plan strategy that puts you back in command no matter how often you get paid. The Triggator solution, give every paycheck a mission and every dollar a job. Let's be honest, getting paid early feels good. It feels empowering in the moment. But when there's no plan behind that power, it turns into chaos and drift. That's why at Triggator, no matter when the money arrives, every paycheck needs a mission. And that mission needs to serve your real goals: budget, save, pay off debt, the Triggator Triangle. Step 1, build a paycheck spending plan even if you don't have a regular paycheck. If you work a standard job weekly, biweekly, monthly, your spending plan should be aligned to your paycheck schedule. Simple. But if you work a variable job or use early access, you still need a spending plan. You just have to create your own schedule. When I was a server at Longhorn Steakhouse, yes, cat's out of the bag, I came home every night with a roll of cash from tips. Right next to my computer, I kept a little envelope labeled in giant letters, Longhorn Tips. The cash went straight from my crown bag, because every good server knows you need a crown bag. It keeps your cash safe and makes you feel like a medieval duke, into that envelope. And there it stayed. I didn't spend a single dollar before it was in the plan and in my rhythm. Every other Friday, I'd pull out the envelope, count what I had, and create my spending plan. That rhythm kept me from falling into daily spending chaos. When I worked in the gig economy, DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, Amazon Flex, it was different, but the principles were the same. Even though I'm a spender by default, I'm also a nerd at heart. I want to know my real profit. So at the end of each night, I cashed out my earnings to a bank account I set up called Side Hustle. Then I used a debit card from that account to pay for gas. That way, I always knew exactly what my expenses were and what my actual profit was. And then, just like with the Longhorn tips, I left the rest of it alone until every other Friday. Then I'd plan it out just like a regular paycheck. The lesson? By creating my own paycheck rhythm, I kept consistency, peace of mind, a clear plan for every dollar, and momentum to attack my debt intentionally. That's how I kept my Triggator Triangle in place, even with irregular income and early access. Step 2, automate to maintain rhythm when possible. Toward the end of my time at Longhorn, they changed the game. They stopped handing out cash tips at the end of the night, and instead we had a choice. Option A, a pay card that would get loaded with your tips at the end of the night. Option B, weekly payroll direct deposit to a chosen account, or even split across multiple accounts. Spoiler alert, I chose wisely. If you're in a job where you have a choice like this, I highly recommend the payroll option, and here's why. First, it helps you stay in rhythm. It allows you to automate deposits that fund your accounts. Peace of mind savings, bill pay, debt payoff, and of course, future orange chicken. By getting that weekly deposit, my spending plan stayed in sync, even though my income was variable. Second, taxes. If you picked the pay card, you'd get 100% of your tips, no taxes withheld, which sounds great until April 15th. Then you'd owe Uncle Sam a huge tax bill. But with the payroll option, taxes were automatically withheld from my tips. Come tax time, no surprises, no scrambling, no selling plasma to cover your tax debt. Yes, I've seen people try. As Morpheus said in The Matrix, you take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Choosing the payroll option might not feel as exciting as grabbing fast cash on the pay card, but it's the red pill. It's the choice that wakes you up to reality, to rhythm, to a spending plan that protects your future, not just today's cravings. So what if you don't have a choice? What if you must get paid daily or via a pay card? Then go back to step 1. Create your own paycheck rhythm. Then set up automated transfers to make sure every dollar flows into your Triggator Triangle. Budget, save, pay off debt. Automation equals fewer chances for your impulses to hijack the mission. Step 3, track results weekly. Early pay creates data fog. If you don't track, you can't see how much you actually made or where it went. For standard workers where you have a regular paycheck cadence, review after every paycheck. For variable gig workers, or if you do early access, review at least weekly. Don't wait for the month's end to realize the drift. By then, the orcs are already inside the walls. Step 4. Watch for red flags. Remember the red flags from earlier? Loss of rhythm, impulse temptation, hidden fees, lifestyle creep, savings sabotage? If any of these start to show up, it's time to adjust immediately. As Indiana Jones once said, fortune and glory, kid, fortune and glory. But in your case, it's budget and savings, kid, budget and savings. The bottom line, getting paid early isn't evil, but it isn't a plan either. If you want real financial freedom, your paycheck's mission must be bigger than the next week's bills or next Friday's sushi. Your paycheck is the fuel for your future, not the fire for today's impulses. Redefining financial freedom and how to fight it. A lot of people think financial freedom means being able to spend whenever they want. And that's what early pay promises. You can grab your money anytime. You're free. But let me tell you something I've learned through years of working jobs where pay came fast, slow, and completely unpredictably. Real freedom isn't being able to spend any time. Real freedom is knowing you control where your money is going. Budget. Real freedom is knowing you'll have money when you need it. Save. Real freedom is keeping every dollar you earn, not handing it to lenders. Pay off debt. That's why the Triggator Triangle isn't just a financial framework. It's your battle plan for lasting freedom. When payday rolls around and you're not stressing about which bill gets paid first or how much you can afford to splurge, that's freedom. Freedom is not having to panic. Your paycheck is a recruit, not a king. Every paycheck is not a king, it's a recruit. And you're the general. Every dollar that comes in needs to be assigned its role. Defense, savings. Offense, debt payoff. Supplies, budget necessities. If you let the paycheck call the shots, you're just following money's orders, and money doesn't care about your future. But when you give every dollar a mission, you're in command. That's how you fight for financial freedom. Not by grabbing quick cash to cover today's battle, but by strategically deploying your resources towards tomorrow's victory. As Hannibal from the A-Team famously said, I love it when a plan comes together. And when it comes to your paycheck, there's no better feeling than seeing your plan, not your impulses, win the day. So next time an app flashes cash out your pay now, remember, you're not here to salute your paycheck like it's in charge. You're here to command it like a boss. We've covered a lot today. We've talked about why early pay feels like freedom, but usually leads to financial drift. We've looked at the red flags, the hidden dangers, and the emotional traps. And we've walked through the plan that puts you back in control. Because at the end of the day, you're not just earning a paycheck, you're commanding it. And that's what separates those who drift from those who build. So let's take everything we've talked about and put it into action with today's mission. Your Paycheck Commander Challenge. Here's what I want you to do. Whether you get paid bi-weekly, weekly, daily, or on demand, create a spending plan for your very next paycheck before you spend a single dollar. Assign every dollar to a mission. Budget, control your essentials. Save, secure your future. Pay off debt, free your income. If you have variable pay or early access, create your own paycheck rhythm and stick to it. And if you need a reset because things have drifted, that's not defeat, that's leadership. As Elder Dieter F. Uchtdorf, a former airline captain, once taught, every time I started to approach an airport, I knew that much of my remaining work would consist of making constant minor course corrections to safely direct the aircraft to the desired landing runway. He emphasized that even small deviations could lead off course, but with timely adjustments, we can realign ourselves to our intended path. So if you found yourself off track, remember, making those course corrections is a sign of strength and wisdom. It's about recognizing the need for change and taking action to steer back towards your goals. And if you create a new paycheck rhythm or have a creative way you've assigned your dollars lately, I'd love to hear about it. Email me at podcast@Triggator.com and share your win. Before you go, follow or subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. Leave a review. Those 5-star ratings help people discover the show, and I read every review. Share this episode with a friend, a coworker, or anyone who might be getting paid early without a plan to match. And follow @Triggator on X, Facebook, and Instagram for daily encouragement and a few Gator-themed memes to keep your finances fierce and funny. Next time, summer's coming, and so are the sneaky expenses. In the next episode, we'll dive into summer spending, planning ahead to avoid financial sunburn. You'll learn the most common summer money traps, vacations, camps, backyard upgrades, and more. Why summer budgeting needs a little different rhythm than other seasons, and how to build a simple summer mini spending plan that protects your peace and your wallet. Because July should feel like fireworks in the sky, not fireworks in your bank account. Don't miss it. Remember, your paycheck isn't the king. Your paycheck is the recruit. And you are the commander. Give every dollar a mission, lead it well, and build the financial future you've been working for. You've got this. This is Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm Nate Tanner, and I'll see you next time.